What's up, everyone? Michael Heath with Get Automating. You ever play the name game? You know, the one with Hanna-Barbera. Sometimes there's names we just shouldn't use, and that's a lot like Power Automate naming conventions. So today we're going to talk about how to do naming convention within Power Automate Cloud Flows. Let's try Poindexter.
Get Automating, enhancing humans daily.
If we don't keep a standardized naming convention for our flow and flow parts, we're going to get ourselves in a little bit of a mess, especially down the road as the practice grows, as we have tons and tons of flows. So let's check out what some best practice naming conventions look like. All right, so what it be? Here we are, Power Automate. We're at the create pane. We spend a lot of time here, make.powerautomate.com. We're going to kick things off with creating an automated cloud flow. And one of the first decision points you're going to have to make is, what do we call this flow? And so there are many different approaches here. What I can tell you is that what's most important is something that conveys the why, something that conveys the outcome. That's what you're looking for in the title. It doesn't really matter what approach you had, as long as you're consistent and as long as it's helpful. So I'll give you a best practice in how I like to approach this. Solution, action, outcome. What I mean by that is we have a solution. Now, sometimes that's a technical solution, a solution that is built in as a part of our solution pane within Power Platform. Or there's this idea that flows make up a larger, comprehensive outcome and initiative that is part of a solution throughout the organization. Either way, it's helpful to understand when flows are a part of a process. So keep that in mind. The other thing we want to do is really convey the why in the outcome. Usually this starts with a verb, so create, send, notify. So let me give you an example here. All right, so this is part of our Microsoft Update solution. That is, we get regular updates that are sent via email, and we need to be able to capture those and act on them. So we have the solution, Microsoft Updates. Now, there may be other flows that are a part of the solution, but this particular one is going to be focused on creating a planner item where Microsoft Updates are received via email. This needs to convey exactly what's going on. We know we're going to create a planner item, and we know when it's going to happen, and of course, what the outcome is. So let's select our trigger here, and off we go. All right, so the second decision we're going to have to make is to modify the trigger title. Now, for this approach, I do like to keep the original component titling here, but I like to add a pipe in there. And after that pipe, I want to offer a little more details. Perhaps this could be data source. This could be any sort of parameters that are used within. The idea here is that we're able to quickly look at just the canvas and just the nodes to really understand at a high level what our flow is doing. So for this particular one, maybe the priority is high, only looking at high importance, and for the keyword updates. So we can add that in here. I'm not so concerned about the length. Keep it standardized and make sure that it tells a story. All right, and so creating a task action right here, we're going to keep the original component right here. We're going to pipe it. Again, back to my comment earlier about indicating that data source. I want to know, well, what are we pointing it at? Is it just creating some random plan and task? No, it's not. So now if we look at this, we can tell exactly what's going on. We've got the email. We know what sort of parameters we're using. We're creating a task within the personal plan, and off we go. So the last little bit here on the Canvas screen is this idea around notes. In some instances, they can prove to be very useful. So for instance, if we wanted the title here to concat the subject and the importance together to make out the title, we would create an expression here. So we have that expression, but guess what? When we're sifting through here, not only do we have to dig in to understand what the expression is, we might not even be able to understand what we did and why we did it. We can come up here to the notes area and describe exactly what's going on. So we've just added a little note in there to help us out if some serious time passes, or maybe even 2 hours passes, and we can't remember what we've done, we can rely on that notes area to help us get through that and remember, aha, that's what we did. One more thing here that we want to ensure that's filled out is this description. Often missed, but really, really important. Doesn't have to be too complicated. Just to hit the high level points, I think triggers, actions, and conditions are really important to have in there. Again, we want to understand the why here. If it's not conveyed in the title, let's add a little more description to help tell that story of the flow. All right, there you have it. Just a small nugget of naming convention wisdom. Use it. Make it your own. Experiment around with what works. The most important thing is to be consistent for you and those that are going to be collaborating in Power Automate. So go out there and get automating.